Hello, hi everyone. So we meet again. This week we're going to cover the topic of reading comprehension skills. So this week it is the first week that we start to look into reading skills. Without further ado, let's move to the content. All right, in reading, the most common techniques that readers always apply would be skimming and scanning. Sometimes, or most of the readers, we don't notice that we actually apply these two techniques. Um, in terms of terms, we are not aware that these are actually skimming and scanning. But I do believe that most of us, most of you, have applied it before, even before you are introduced to these two techniques. So let's take a look at what are they actually. Skimming, all right, so we move to skimming first. Skimming is used to quickly gather the most important information or gist. So it's not essential to understand each word when you are skimming. All right, so skim, right? Skimming is actually the process where we look at the content as a whole, holistic, and most of the time it is taking very quick to look into the content. So when we skim, we always run our eyes over the text and noting important information. We don't really or simply read word by word. We just go through very fast so that we can grab or we can highlight on the words that are repeatedly used or the words being highlighted. Yeah, so for example, the newspaper. So to quickly get the general news of the day, we look into the headlines. Headlines will be the title of the news. Yeah, so we look into the headlines so that we know that okay, the general idea of this news would be what. So we read on that. But of course, we cannot simply um, consider what we read, because sometimes the headlines can be very confusing, or it can be very um, um, it can lead to various definition or meaning of content. So the best way is to look into the content itself. So magazines, to quickly discover which articles you would like to read in more detail. So when it is very common that when we have a magazine, we will go through the page very quickly, because sometimes we don't have um, the content page, I mean the list of contents for magazine. So what we do is we go to every single page quickly so that we can get a very general idea of what would be the content of the magazine, and later we'll go back to the one that we find very interesting to us. And then business and travel brochures, to quickly get informed. So in order for us to get a very general idea of the brochures, so we go to the titles, we get to the maybe the words are being highlighted in the brochures. Okay, so let's move to the next part. So how to skim? So to skim is to work quickly or to read quickly. So read the title if there is one. Usually when it comes to reading text, it is the title will be provided, and even if there's no title, what we can do is you can go to the second point, which is the introduction or the first paragraph. Why exactly the first paragraph is very important? Because the first paragraph is actually the part where the readers are being introduced to the general idea of the whole text. So that is why do not skip the introduction, because it will help you to guide you or to give you the general idea, the whole context, especially the last sentence of the introduction. And then what we can do is we can look into the first sentence of every paragraph. Um, uh, when it comes to reading, the first sentence of the paragraph is usually the one that we call topic sentence. Yeah, a topic sentence is actually the sentence where it carries the main points or the main ideas of the paragraph. So that is why we focus on the first sentence. It is very common that the first sentence is the introduction of the of the paragraph. So it will be very beneficial. Notice any images. If there are images like let's say pictures, charts or graphs, so do not skip that. That would be sometimes by looking into a graph you can get the overall idea of what is actually presented. Especially the pictures. One picture can carry a lot of things, and it is easy for you to especially to remember what would be the important points based on the images. Notice any italicized or bold-faced words. So sometimes there are words being italicized, the one with the being, um, um, in italic, you call it in italic and bold, where the font is outstand. Usually it the words outstand others, thicker than the others. So there are reasons why the words are being italicized or boldfaced. So that is why you need to focus, or and usually the words with such font or um, such style will lead or drag or bring your attention first rather than the others, because usually there must be something important why the words are being italicized or being bold-faced. All right, so lastly, read the summary or the last paragraph. If there's no summary, so you go for the last paragraph, because last paragraph is also like the introduction, where it provides the general idea or recap or summary of the general idea that have been discussed earlier in the whole paragraphs. So looking into the summary or the last paragraph, it will help you to understand the context as a whole. All right, so let's move to scanning. Scanning is a reading technique, yeah, when it comes to find specific information. So just now you skim to get the general idea of the information, to get information as a whole. Now scan is more specific. It's like when you are scanning pages of your book. So we don't simply scan from page 1 to 100 or 200. We just go to the topics or to the page that we find very important, or the page or the topics that we use, or it is very important for us to use. So scan, we being selective. So that is what we do when we scan. You have a question in your mind, and um, you have to keep the question. The question is usually related to the important information that you are seeking for. For example, okay, if you read the article regarding a murder, so the big question would be, who is the killer or the murderer? So that's, keep that as your the key information that you are looking for. So you just go and skip the other information. You try to find the key of who's actually the killer. So you go straight to the content. Okay, now examples of scanning will be a Google search list on the internet. So when you look for information, so you type the information, you give specific topic, and the Google search engine will give you the list of the content according to what you are asking for. A business or airplane schedule. So when it comes to looking into, let's say, okay, bus or a airplane is very this is the very common one, because let's say if you want to go back for Hari Raya, so you don't go browse from, or you go search from one counter to another, or from one schedule, one place to another. You just go straight. You, if let's say you want to go to Penang, and you and then you go for Penang, the counter for Penang, and later you, maybe if you don't have specific time, you can search for the available tickets or the available time for the tickets. Or if you already have specific time that you would like to depart, so maybe you can, let's say at 9 a.m., so you go straight to 9 a.m. Ticket, if they are still available. So that is a scanning technique. A conference guide. So when you have a let's say this is some proceeding booklet, so if you want, you just look into the topic that you are interested with. You don't go scroll from one page to until the end, unless if you are very interested to every single thing, or if you are, I mean, if you read for leisure, could possibly you can go from one page to another. But if you have a specific field, expertise, maybe you want to focus on specific topic, so that's why you are being selective, and scanning is actually applied. And graph, let's say if you have a graph of like nowadays it's about COVID-19, right? So every day we are waiting, and we are hoping to get the latest information, the graph, the statistic of the results of the victims, the cases of COVID-19, the statistic of death, could possibly the one who has been I just positive, the positive cases, or the one who has recovered. And if let's say you are from Kedah, maybe the one that you want to look for, or you aim specifically, will be the state of Kedah first, and all, then you look into other places. And yes, that is also scanning. Believe me, I do believe that skimming and scanning they are actually a part of the techniques that you have applied so far. It's just that you don't realize that, or you are not aware of the term. So don't worry, this is very common. The thought techniques are very common. So how to scan? So since scanning is to get specific information, so you need to know specifically the information that you are looking for. You need to list what is actually you are looking for. You would like, or you intend to get the information. So try to anticipate how to answer, how the answer will appear. Anticipate means you can predict what will be the answer will be, the clues. For example, if you were looking for a certain date, you will quickly read the paragraph looking only for numbers. Yeah, so that is how it goes. Like I said just now, if you focus on the date, so you look at the numbers. If you focus on the places, maybe you look into the places, go straight to the places. Use headings and any other aids that will help you identify which sections might contain the information you are looking for. So headings will be a huge help when it comes to scanning. If there are headings, so you might want to read the headings, unless if you are having a paragraph, so it's quite hard to identify which is which. But when you have headings, so focus on the headings, because you will cut down time, you can get to the information straight. And lastly is you need to be selective. Since scanning is looking for the detailed information or specific information, so what you are doing is actually you are being selective when it comes to choosing the content. So this is when you don't read every single thing. You try to avoid reading every single thing. I'm not saying that reading the whole thing is not important, but usually when it comes to scanning, we already done with reading, so that is why we focus on looking into the main information or the main thing that we are searching, right? But the most important thing would be read the article or the information first. Unless if you are searching for something that you know that you can get it specifically. For example, like the just now the ticket, yeah, the ticket, it can be very specific. News, yeah, news or stories, and in fact when you would like to browse or you want to look or search for the topic, okay, for your courses, you don't go for every single page, you don't search for every single page to get to your topic. You just go to the content list, and you search for the things that you are looking for, so you are saving a lot of time. So this, okay. All right, so moving to contextual clues. Now, this part is another, the last part. Just now, we look into the techniques. There are two techniques that we've discussed. The first one will be skimming. Skimming would be to understand the context thoroughly or the information thoroughly. That is skimming, and scanning would be when you would like to have or to get the specific information from the text or the source. Now, we move to contextual clues. So understanding the meaning of words based on the context in the text. So that is what contextual clues mean. So we are trying to understand the meaning of words based on the clues or the hints, the words, the sentences provided in the text itself. So it means that we don't refer to the dictionary. We are trying to guess the meaning or to trying to understand the meanings based on the context provided. All right, so understanding words based on context. So when attempting to decipher or interpret the meaning of a new word, it often useful to look at what comes before and after the word. So we have to be alert of the words that come before and after the word that we don't understand. It is very common. When we don't understand one word, we look at the word surrounded the word, the difficult word. The surrounding words can give readers helpful contextual clues, and there are so many ways of guessing or making or trying to get the definition of the words. We can try five here in this topic. We're going to look into five main techniques of getting the meaning from context. The first one will be definition, and we're going to have the example, synonym, antonym, and substitute. So if you're ready, so let's move to the next one. Definition. Okay, so definitions is when we look and see if the definition of the word is right there. So if the word, the definition, the meaning of the word is visible in the text itself or in the sentence. So this can be a restating of the word. So sometimes the author or the writer try to be helpful. They provide the definition of the meaning, the word in the text or in the sentence itself. So, okay, let's take a look at the example. So, while planning the party, Susan was prudent with the guest list, acting with great caution and care not to invite anyone with whom she wouldn't want to jump around in a bounce house. Okay, so who is being prudent? So, we are trying to look into the word prudent here. So the first thing that we might want to ask, it will be who is being prudent here. So in this context, the one who is being prudent is Susan. So with what? So she is being prudent with the guest list. So what else the behavior that Susan is actually projecting in the sentence? So it is described that she's acting with great caution and care. So caution and care is actually the meaning of the word prudent. So it is provided in this context. The next technique that we can apply is the examples. So examples are used when explaining things or the word in the context, in the sentence. Usually this is very similar to finding the definition. um, it, but definition is more of the meaning of the word itself, but examples would be what are the representatives or the elements that represent the word. So a good example here would be Divine procrastinated to avoid his homework all day, watching TV, playing video games, and even writing thank you cards to his grandparents. So if, let's say, we are looking for the meaning of the word procrastinate, right? So um, here there are things, activities listed in this sentence. Watching TV, playing video games, and writing thank you cards are all the forms of procrastination. They are actually the activities that in this context explain procrastination or procrastinate, the word procrastinate. Okay, if if Devin should be doing his homework, but he's doing these other things instead, then procrastination must be delaying or putting off. So when someone is actually should be doing something else, and but he is focusing on other things instead, so yeah, that is what we can delay. You delay things. So procrastinate means delay or putting or put off. All right, synonym and antonym, they are two words, different contexts, but they are very much related, because synonym, usually when you have a synonym, so it means that you get the words that consist of the same meaning. They represent, or the words represent the same idea or the same meaning. Okay, so when it comes to antonym, antonym is the word that carries the opposite meaning of um, the others. Okay, so the clues are usually in the context as well. Let's take a look at the example of synonym. So Mark wanted to impress his date with the dinner he prepared, but the massive ice sculpture centerpiece he made with a chainsaw between courses was just superfluous, extra and unnecessary. So superfluous, what it means by superfluous here? Superfluous or superfluous. Um, Extra and unnecessary. So these two are actually the meaning of the words provided. Yeah, so these are actually synonyms. Meanwhile, for antonym, Priscilla is so humble and modest that she could never be called haughty. Haughty. So humble and modest. So you can get the word she could never be. So this is actually the clue saying that it goes opposite. Okay, so if you are given humble and modest, so haughty will be, yeah, it can be humble, will be arrogant, modest can be pretentious. So these two can be the definition. Substitute. When you substitute means you replace. Yeah. So as you might expect, the acid that burned a hole in the table also has deleterious fumes. So deleterious fumes here can be gas. Yeah. Substitute. Okay, so when it comes to substitute, the process or the techniques is a bit, the steps of getting the meaning will be a bit longer. First, what you need to do is, let's say the meaning is there's no such thing as synonyms or antonyms in this context. Yes, there's no synonym. You have to check first. So there's no synonyms or antonyms here, and it is not possible to have a definition here, and there are no examples provided in the sentence. So the best way to get the meaning of deleterious is to guess the meaning. All right, okay, let's try this. Okay, first, what if we try to replace the word deleterious with pleasant? Will it make sense? So okay, as you might expect, okay, acid is the smell of acid. Okay, let's say we replace it in the sentence. As you might expect, the acid that burned a hole in the table also has pleasant fumes. Okay, the word also means it shouldn't be going against. So pleasant would be the word that shows positivity, or it represents something that is good. Pleasant fumes would be something, I mean, good smell. So it is not somehow suitable to be replaced. So now we know that deleterious, if we relate it with acid, the smell of burning thing would be something that is we feel uncomfortable with. So could possibly this is a negative one, right? What if we try to replace it with the word harm or harmful? As you might expect, the acid burned a hole in the table also have harmful fumes. That's it. So yeah, it is more suitable to replace the word deleterious with harmful. But okay, the one thing that you have to remember about substitute is you need to have a huge range of vocabulary. That will really help. Or else I might want to, I mean, if this is just a leisure reading, but what you can do is you can make a guess, or you can try to refer to the dictionary. Always get back to dictionary because that is the most reliable source that you can get the meaning from. Okay, so what have you learned in the topic today? So we get to look into the skimming and scanning. Okay, we know that these are the two techniques, and usually they are very useful and very effective. We skim to get the idea of the overall information in the document, and usually when we practice skim, we do it at the beginning of the process, the reading process. That is what we do first because we want to guess the overall idea. When we skim, we think about the topic, we look into the topic, we think of if, let's say, the information that we already know related to the topic, and we will make a guess and or an anticipation of what we're going to read. Meanwhile, for scanning is to get the specific information, and it helps us to get the information easily and quickly. I wouldn't want to say the word easy because sometimes it's not easy for some of us. So quickly is the word. Then we looked for the definition of the word in the text. So we use the contextual clues. There are 5 ways that we have looked into. We look into definition, we look into antonyms, synonyms, substitute, and one more will be examples. Actually, there are more. Okay, but these are the 5 ways or techniques of guessing the meaning based on the context that are very common in use. So finally, in the contextual clues, we try to substitute. So you need to choose, or you need to try out words that are very familiar with you and that are related to the meaning of the word that you are searching for. So that's all for this time, and I really hope that we can meet again in the next lecture. Do not forget to complete the exercise that follows after the lecture. So see you. Bye.